Hi, so I want to welcome us to Computer Science 142, Introduction to Programming 1. Welcome. My name is John Tutangi. I'm instructor for this class. Quick comments here. I just want to go through a few things to sort of help you get started. First off, my name's John Tutangi. If you break it into 3 syllables, it's a little easier. 2, like the number, ton, as in dawn, and gi, like geese. Put them together, Tutangi, or all at once, Tutangi. In the online class, oh, my video is freezing. I'm just going to pause here. Okay, in the online class, I'll often sign things JT, so that's fine. It's a little easier to type. My computer is not liking me jogging over to the notebook here, so hopefully this video won't keep doing that. So just a couple things about myself. I'm a Seattle native. I've been teaching at South Seattle College for, I think I'll say 7 years, but I've been teaching a lot longer than that. I studied math and computer science as an undergrad, and then I got my master's degree in mathematics from the UW. I've been teaching math for many, many years, and then I jumped into teaching computer science a couple of years ago. No, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I really like I like both a lot. There's a big difference between how you, I don't know, the content itself is different. So both are fun. This class, if you took the 110 in Python, what you'll find initially is that Java is a little more syntactical. It requires a couple of more things than Python does. Python is very loose. It lets you just declare, use variables without telling you what kind of variable it is. Java is a little more precise. It wants us to be a little more careful in the syntax. So that takes a little getting used to, but essentially what we do in this class is kind of go back through all of the constructs you've learned in CSC110. We talk about variables, and then strings, data types, loops, so both definite and indefinite loops, functions and their parameters. We do all of these things similar to what we did in 110, but we do them quicker and a little more depth. And then the conditional if-then statements, file processing. We look at arrays, which is analogous to lists. And then the last chapter that we go through is classes. And that's really where you start to see some of the benefit of Java as an object-oriented programming language. And in particular, that then leads us into the next quarter where we use much more the power of Java as an object-oriented language. Okay, so I like to try to keep these videos short, but I know I've already gone on a little bit there. So in looking at Canvas, I just want to go through a few things. The modules will be our home page. And if you look at Canvas and you go to the home page, so a lot of students just go to the to-do list, and that is not a good way to succeed in this class because not everything has a due date. You have to study the content and then go to the to-do list. So the content's on the home page. There'll usually be a few announcements. The last 3 announcements will show there. So we've got a welcome announcement and a installing Java and Eclipse announcement. And then week 0, ideally you're working on that before class starts. The first thing in there is in week 0 is the textbook, applications, hardware, and hardware needed for this class. So we need to download Java, which is the language we're going to be using, and then Eclipse, which is the integrated development environment, so the place where we're going to be doing our coding in Java. So we need both those programs. I would suggest you try to use my links here. I have a video here where I go through these links and just do it on my computer. Download Java first, and then download Eclipse next. People who struggle with that, using the example that I gave there, may need to go on to the next page where it goes into a more technical steps and a more sort of step-by-step process. I find this one more confusing, but if you struggled initially, we need to figure out why, and sometimes the why is can be figured out in this next page. Okay, so going back to our first page, we need to install Java, need to install Eclipse, our textbook. Any version of this textbook will do. So the newest version is the 5th edition. I have here the 4th edition, Building Java Programs. This link is a PDF to the 2nd edition, which is fine. You can use that right now to get started. I would suggest that everyone get a hard copy. And the reason is, you know, if I am here on my screen in chapter whatever 4, and I want to type this code in, it's very hard to sort of have the book and Eclipse open simultaneously, because how do you know, unless you have a really big monitor, which I do, but most students are either using a laptop or even a desktop with a smaller monitor. If you have 2 monitors, it's great. But you know, it can be very hard to kind of flip through the book while you're coding. Much easier to have the book open here on my desk, and I can just do my coding without having to flip back and forth. So you can see how you like it. I know there's nice to have a free copy here, but I'm sure you can find an older edition that's reasonable as well. So look online, see if you can find one. Practice It account. So we piggyback on the UW's site that where this book is published out of. So it's the Practice It website. When you sign up for a new account, make sure you use South Seattle College, not South Seattle or South Seattle Community College, but South Seattle College as your school. You can click in here and you set up a new account, create an account. Once you set up an account, you can use the site, but if you want me to be able to see it, you need to go to the course list, which is this next link, and choose our course. Oh, don't look at that. It's someone else's login stuff. But you'll choose our course and log into it. And our course is CSC142 Online, Summer 2020. So those 2 things, create a new account and then come back and use the separate link to get into our course. If you don't see that course, you probably chose the wrong college. So you can go back and change that. The last thing that we need is a webcam. Similar to what I'm using here, I'm using an external webcam. I think it was like 25 bucks sitting on my computer. A lot of people have a webcam in their computer. That's fine too. You'll need that for taking tests. We'll do a self-proctoring via Panopto. Okay, so that's our week 0, that getting started. I think I got all these things: Java and Eclipse, Practice It, textbook, webcam. Perfect. Back into Canvas. You know, I can always just jump to my home page. Home, that is your sort of home base. I would always go there first, because again, your to-do list is great. It tells you what's coming up that you have to finish, but it doesn't tell you how to finish it. So week 0 is there. We've got a reference materials module that has all our course PowerPoints. So just jump in there. There should be 8 chapters for 142. And then the next course covers the latter half of the book, CSC143. And I have those chapters here as well. Just, I don't know why, but they're there. But here's our chapters. And again, these are the PowerPoints that were developed by a colleague of mine at South. And we piggyback on them. They're very good. They're a little, the textbook also provides PowerPoints, but the PowerPoints from the book are a little more, a little harder to read. I find these are a little easier to read, and they go through things a little more clearly. So we'll primarily use these PowerPoints. That's going to be expected of you, that you'll be going through each of the chapter PowerPoints as we go into a week. So as we go into week 1, all the modules will be organized like this. You'll have a section on materials for the week. We're covering 2 chapters in week 1. So you have chapter 1 materials, which starts with the PowerPoint. And then I have a little thing about tips for computer science students. Chapter 2, so this is hitting weeks 1 and 2. We again have another PowerPoint, and it says read chapter 2. We have a thing that we're going to download for use later. I'm going to be putting additional videos in here, so some of those videos will be being added as the course goes along. I will try to always be at least a week ahead, but at times I'll add stuff if I feel there's a need, and maybe I'll send an announcement that says, hey, I just added a video, go check it out. But like I said, I'm building this class as we go, so the framework for the course is all done. Some of the instructional content I will be adding as we go. Then we'll have assignments due twice during the week on Thursday. So the few assignments are due here: review the syllabus, complete Hello World, complete the chapter 1, practice it. And then assignments due over the weekend is the following Sunday. Working guidelines, another practice it, and chapter 2, practice it. So let me just click in here. So these links, I have linked problems here, self-check and exercises. This is a minimum. So I am expecting you to work on these. You may not get them all done. I also expect that you then will work on problems around these. So if you're doing, 3, 6, 7, and 13, and you're getting 13 wrong, try 11 and 10 and 12, or try. Really, you should probably do at least twice as many problems as I'm assigning. And what you'll do when you go to submit this is, let's see, I can't do that. I'm not in the student view, but you'll go to submit it, and it'll just pull up a text box. And in that text box, I just want you to tell me about how much time you spent and what issues you may have had. All of these problems are available online. I am well aware of that. So here's one called Egg 2. If I do a Google search for Egg 2 Java, practice it, I can find it. This person has posted all of the solutions to all of the problems. So I'm not assigning these to see that you can go here and grab this code and copy it and then go back to the practice it and plug it in here. Oh, let's see, I'm not logged in. Let's see if I log in. Go back to the code here and paste it in and then submit it. I got it right. Yay, I'm so smart. So all of the code in Practice It is available online. I know that. I also know how to search for it. The idea behind the Practice It is not that you will go and copy and paste code when you can't figure it out. It's that when you can't figure something out, that usually means that's something you need more work on. And so the only point in copying and pasting is to get something done. So I don't care if you get something done or not. I am looking for really how much work are you putting in. And if you are a copy and paster, at some point I'll just say, okay, here's another problem, go ahead and do it. And if you can't do that problem, similar to all the other ones that you're submitting, then then those don't count, basically. The practice is not a big percentage of your grade, it's 10%. I don't want to police it. I would much prefer that you actually practice. That's the point of it, is that you get practice and you get feedback. So the need to copy and paste, it doesn't help you to Google search. Even if you just look at the code here and just say, oh, I see what he's doing, you're not going to learn what we want you to learn, which is how to figure this out on your own, how to develop the code individually. So invariably, a group of several students will fall into the copy and paste trap. They don't do very well. They're not going to learn Java very well. They're going to struggle on exams. They're going to struggle in the next course. They're going to struggle when you transfer. And then when you try to get a job, they're not going to hire you. So if you want to learn computer science, you want to learn Java, you want to learn programming, work with someone. Ask me. Ask someone. You can even ask someone in the class, but like don't ask them for their code. Just say, hey, do you know what you did here? It's much different to sort of seek help than it is to seek the answer. Okay. I've gone off long enough on that, I'm sure. Week 1. So PowerPoints, videos will be similar to this one. I will do some videos where I am, wow, that is weird. Where I am coding with a little picture of myself up in the corner. So I might shrink that down, and then I'll have my Eclipse open. I'll be doing some code. What I would encourage for those videos is that you actually do the coding. It's your time in class. And actually, they might be very similar to what I have here. I have sort of a notebook going, and that notebook is usually what I would have on the board. You might want to write that stuff down. It'll be like the pseudocode, and that's really the most important part of the coding is the pseudocode. So when I do the videos, I'll talk about that and how you can do the pseudocoding, pencil and paper, and then that leads us into the actual coding on Eclipse. The #1 error that people make in computer science is they start typing and coding before they know what they're coding. That's especially true in Java because as we move into the next course, you really have to know what you want your objects to be before you can start implementing. Okay, so the videos will sort of be a combination notebook, my little picture up in the corner, and then we'll code the Eclipsing together. And so as I'm coding in Eclipse, you'll want to be coding on your computer in Eclipse as well, either along with me or after I do it at some point. That's how you get the practice, is typing it in. It's what we would be doing if we were meeting in class. So if you just watch, you know, this is not a spectator sport. You have to participate, and then you'll get better. If you don't participate, chances are you won't get better. Oh, here's my little name thing, Tutangi, run. So here's a little bit of snippet of code. I think I did this when we were doing the download. We have I won't go through it now. You'll see me going through lots of code soon. Actually, I will go through it. There's a thing that I'm going to have us doing, which is reading through code. It's on here. Video conferencing, it's called down here. You'll be doing this throughout the quarter. So pretend this is your code. I have a class. It's called name. In the main function, we have, let's see, a comment. Oh, test class to print my name. Here's a print statement, print line, printing Tutangi. Another print statement, print line Tutangi, followed by a third print statement, JT. I just walked you through that code. It's a code walkthrough. In the class name, there's one function, main. It has 3 lines of code. I just walked you through them. Obviously, that gets harder as a class gets more complicated. Has multiple functions, multiple function calls. The function might return things, etc. But that process of walking through code is something you're going to be doing with me, both via video and via video conferencing. It shows me that you understand your own code. So that's what we're going to use it for. Okay, so back over here, each week in Canvas has PowerPoints and then videos, which I'll be adding as we go. The textbook chapter, the practice it, and then assignments are due on Thursday and Sunday of each week. Again, our course requirements. The practice hits are worth 10%, and not so much that you did all the problems, but that you put the effort in. And I even want more than the problems that I've assigned. So to get full credit on practice it, you have to be doing extra. The problems I'm assigning are the bare minimum. The Canvas assignments will probably have little sort of weekly assignments where I maybe on a Thursday or a Sunday, maybe both, 2 a week, where you submit something similar to what we've done in Practice It, or some of the stuff that I've done in the videos. We'll have 4 projects throughout the term. there will be the project itself. Usually, maybe each project will have a little reading quiz that says, do you understand the project? Kind of a short 2 or 3 question quiz on Canvas. And the trick there is that you actually read the assignment carefully and you work towards answering those questions, again, by looking back at the assignment. Don't guess, like look back and figure out what it's asking. The video conferencing, I just kind of did that little walkthrough where I showed you what you'll be doing for those portions. And then 2 exams totaling 40%, where you our exams will be in Canvas, and it'll be some short answers, some multiple choice, and some light coding where you'll enter code into text boxes, and maybe a little bit of pseudo coding type stuff as well. And maybe I'll try to have a bit of a sample Canvas, not an exam, but a shorter exam, so you can kind of see what the exam looks like prior to getting to it. Okay, so I think that's what I wanted to cover in this video. Again, I want to welcome everyone. I want to remind you that as the course goes forward, I will be adding material. So sometimes, you know, if I'm adding it midweek, I'll send an announcement that says, hey, I just added this. But in general, the material for the week hopefully will be there in advance. I am working right now on material, and I will be posting that material shortly. So I think that's it. Oh, the last thing I'll say is in the first week, I'm going to have a couple of Zoom meetups, and those will be good for people who are stuck, having a hard time downloading Eclipse or Java, or getting it set up on their computer. And hopefully we can get those issues resolved in the first day or 2 of class, because you could do the practice it stuff without downloading Eclipse and Java, because practice it is self-grading, but ideally we need to be doing the coding in Eclipse and on our computers. So I think that's it. Again, welcome to the class. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Oh, little asterisk, if you're taking the class in summer, which is now, but sometime in the future would not be. Summer quarter goes very quick. It's 8 weeks, and so you gotta stay on top of things. Just like any quarter, you know, if you can work a little bit ahead, it's very, very helpful. If you fall behind, it becomes harder and harder to catch up. So the later in the quarter, the harder it is to catch up. So staying on top of things, staying ahead of things. You know, if I have a due date of Thursday, ideally you're finishing stuff that's due the following Sunday by Thursday. And same thing, by Sunday, you're finishing stuff due the following Thursday. People who can work in that manner where they're ahead of the due dates will learn the content better and be more successful. People who are the night that it's due working on something, they're not learning that content, they're just trying to get it done. So, or they're not learning it as well. All right, I think that's it. Again, welcome to the quarter, and hopefully we will have a great Computer Science 142 course.